Hi guys, Dion here again, and we're back. We're in Newport Beach, California, and I'm going to show you the new build. All right, so this is a 1991 NA6 1.6 liter Miata. I have a 1.8 in the red. Now this was supposed to be OMG Miata 1, but things happened and I ended up getting a different car for the build. So this car kind of just sat around for about 2 years. And recently, my buddy decided to just go for it and build it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rocket bunny this, same thing as OMG Miata 1, this is OMG Miata 2. Same kit, same aero, probably a different engine. We're not gonna do an LS on this. We're probably just gonna keep it the 1.6 turbo, maybe build it and you know, beef up the tranny, the diff and whatnot. The aero might be slightly different, but very similar. Mods will be pretty much the same, but this car will be white. And if you come around this way, you can see that the interior is super clean, super clean. This car only has 56, well, it had 56,000 miles, but right now it has about 61,000 miles because we've, you know, driven a little bit just to see how the car is, but it drives really smooth, like really, really smooth. Versus the 1.8, the 1.6 is a very smooth engine. Not sure why, but if some of you guys know why, let me know. Stock daisies, look at that. Stock daisies with some Starfire, I don't know what brand tires those are, but they look alright, looks fat. And we picked up this car from this old dude, like a hermit, you know, collector of Miatas. And he had this, 56,000 miles, clean interior, clean engine. The paint's been redone. I mean, the body panel is pretty straight, but you know, these white cars, they tend to flake, you know, like the clear coat or the, I'm not even sure if they're clear coated. They're probably one stage, but they tend to flake. So some of you Miata guys with white car, you know what I'm talking about. Other than that, the car is pretty straight. I mean, if you come back here, everything looks great. Other than a little bit of surface rust, which this car has because it's a beach car, you know, Santa Barbara, it's good. The engine is pretty straight. For a 30-year-old car, this thing is pretty clean. I mean, you can't ask for anything more because it's a 30-year-old car. It's probably older than most of you guys. Certainly almost as old as me. It's a 1.6, obviously, no leaks. I know it does have the half moon oil leak in the back and maybe the rear main seal, which is highly unlikely because when I did mine and mine was leaking, it was the half moon seal, not the rear main seal. So just FYI, if you're gonna do your clutch and you know, flywheel, you wanna do that seal because it's a total pain in the ass later if you don't. A couple of things here that I'd probably change the hardware because it's got surface rust and whatnot, but really not a big deal. It's a 1.6, it makes like 12 horsepower, so it's a fun car, it's a fun car. You just gotta keep the revs up and beat people in the corners. And on the back right here, we're gonna cut this super high this time. Now, when I did mine, I cut it, it was all right. It was just in line with the top of the roof right here, but I'm gonna cut it a little bit higher so I can flip the sheet metal and weld it up to the top of the quarter. That way I'll have more room for this build versus mine because you know, this was the first time I did it. And when you do the back, you also have to cut this area right here with the Rocket Bunny kit. The spoiler is gonna be the version 2. We don't have a version 2 yet, but we're gonna order it. It should be here in about a week or so. We have a version 1 right now, so unfortunately, the bolt pattern is not the same, so we can't pre-cut it. And that's pretty much it. Once we fit those pieces, we're gonna take it off, send it to paint, and repaint the whole car because Austin wants to do a full repaint. Though this car is, it's pretty clean. Like a lot of people would be like, oh, all right, it's all right. I keep that paint, but we're both pretty anal with our build, so we're gonna reshoot the whole car in the same white, but a little bit nicer. We're gonna swap out the mirrors as well because these things are really bubbly. So we're gonna use the same EVS carbon mirrors that I have on my build, and I'm gonna give them one of my bases because I made 2, so I have an extra. Other than that, I think we're gonna also replace all of the rubber moldings, all right? And we might even buy a new windshield, because this windshield's pretty, it's pretty old and slight pitting. So that might be one thing to replace. The cowl right here is faded, so we're gonna replace that. Probably take off the windshield wipers, because we're not gonna have wipers on this build. And the dash, it has a slight crack over there, and it's because of these little nipples. Now these nipples are for a tonneau cover. Most of you guys might not know that, but they cause like these spider cracking, because you know they pretty much drill it onto the dash. This thing's been replaced already, and it's hard to open up right now, but or to close, but it comes with a glass top, so we might be selling this whole setup because we're not going to need it. We're going to take it off and buy a OEM hardtop straight from Mazda, which, dude, it's insanely expensive, but so awesome, because people right now are asking like close to $2 grand for a used beat up hardtop, so you might as well spend the extra grand and buy the new stuff. Wheels, I'm not sure what wheels we're gonna go with, but for now I'm gonna let him borrow my gold work equipped 40s, so we can kind of just spec out the size he might want. My setup's kind of aggressive, so he might not want to rock that, but the stock daisies right here will go. All right, we're gonna take this car for a quick drive. We're in Newport Beach, specifically Balboa, and there's a cool ferry over here that you could actually cross the bay and take your car with you. So the clutch on this car is pretty good. The only difference between this and my car is this has a stock clutch. Mine's got a lightweight flywheel. The throwout bearing on this car is a little tired, so you'll probably hear it squeak here and there. But other than that, this car is 30 years old, stock clutch, stock everything, stock cooling, no coolant reroute, stock radiator, and it's never overheated. So if someone tells you need a coolant reroute on your Miata, this car is 30 years old, doesn't have it. So it's a good idea if you're tracking the car, but you don't necessarily have to have the coolant reroute for street use. Now, unless you're in a really hot climate like Texas or Florida, where it's always super hot, then you might want to consider that. And also get an oil cooler, because the oil cooler will heat up your, the stock oil cooler will heat up your oil. So if you have an aftermarket one with a bigger capacity, it'll cool it. All right, so you think this thing's open today? Is there a line? We're not gonna take the barge today, but other than that, if you look at the interior, it's super stock. Nothing's rattling, everything's good. So this is a great candidate for a build. Now, when you want to buy a used Miata, what you want to look for specifically, if it's a long nose or short nose crank, and check the compression all across the board. So it should be at least above 150 psi throughout the whole 4 cylinders. So you want to check that, because if you have anything lower than that, you probably have a tired engine, so you don't want to buy those.